And Christine said, what if somebody steals your identity and creates an account and causes harm on social media? If we're talking about using your identity or having a identity verification to create a social media, and you fall victim to a identity theft, then there is a possibility. There is a possibility that your ID or your identification can be used to create an account and then cause harm in your name. Okay? That concept of just using identity to verify, or an identity card to verify an account online, can create problems. And it creates problems both ways. It can create problems for you as a person and for the company.
Should everyone online be identifiable using a valid means of ID card? That is, when you want to register online, you need to actually have a valid ID card to show or to get registered in that particular social media platform. And so what we'll be discussing is it really necessary or is it not?
All right. Thank you, Emmanuel. My name's Eric Belardo, and I'm the host of Cyber Crimes on YouTube and a cybersecurity professional of 30 years in the industry, working in about 25 countries around the world, doing cybersecurity for governments, private industry, and personal companies. So thank you for having me on your show, and looking forward to a lively discussion.
This whole topic started with the football in the world of soccer. For those who watch soccer, where there have been a lot of online hate or racism in terms of in the soccer world. Let me just put it that way. And so the Football Association called on social media platforms. They wrote petitions actually to these social media platforms like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and then asked or said, is there any possible way that they could introduce identification in a bid to deter online hate, so that any comments made by any particular person will be notified that yes, this is really the person that posted this comment. Because what we see these days is that anyone could just open any social media account anytime and then go ahead to type whatever anybody wants to type. But now what the football body wants to do is that they want it to be that anybody that types something can easily be traced with the person's photo and with the person's details. So now we are going to be discussing basically what are the pros when it comes to this law coming into place, or what are the cons? Is it actually something that should be done, or should it be overlooked? So let's start with the pros. So we'll be weighing the pros. The first one we have is curbing racism. So what do you think about this, Eric? In a bid to curb racism, how do you think this would be very effective?
So there's various challenges here. So let me first address the first point that you said, curbing racism. So the identification of persons. So when we do any kind of investigation, when somebody's being cyberbullied, when somebody's being harassed or attacked online, it usually is a little bit harder to track and trace somebody to their identity, because the internet has this perceived anonymity, or people don't know who you are. So that's how some of these people, their psychology of these people, gets to the point where, you know, I'm anonymous online. I don't have to show my face. I can create a fake account and I can say whatever I want to say. Some people are just trolling. Other people are, you know, expressing their own feelings. But that's a major issue that this would help to prevent. The racism part comes in the respect that now, in the new tones of the world, you know, people are saying what they were thinking before and it wasn't popular to do. So with having an ID to create, or an identification to create an account, it would allow companies, it would allow law enforcement, it would allow different types of organizations to be able to track and trace the person down to, say, you are banned from a Twitter, or you can have from Facebook or any of the social media platform. The challenge that we have right now is if you take a person and you ban the person, you banned my Twitter, eBellardo73, I can go back and say, I can create an eBellardo74, and you can't do anything about it. So yes, having an identity to that is a pro.
With this being put in place, you should be able to, people would first of all be cautious of what they say. People wouldn't want to take the risk of getting fished out by the law enforcement and other bodies that will be put in charge of monitoring all those comments. So yeah, that is one. The second one is curbing cyberbullying.
Again, with having some identity, a lot of folks are going to be less prevalent. So when, they say a lot that people, if you were face to face and if you had to see my face, a lot of these comments, cyberbullying comments, would not occur or would be hampered, would be lesser than that. So with the anonymity that the internet provides, people can say whatever they want and not feel any kind of repercussions back to them. And that's one of the things that the internet, brings up. They don't have any boundaries because they don't feel the repercussion. They don't see the injury or the hurt that they're giving, be it a player, be it a person, be it, somebody that says a comment online. I've had many cases where you have a public figure, a model on Instagram or just a normal person on Twitter that says here, makes a comment, and the next thing they do is they attack. And there's not that boundary setting that you would have if you were in person. So if you knew that, your account could be traced back to you for saying those types of comments, then at that point in time, the comments would go back.
The third one is curbing scams and fraud. So what do you think about this particular one?
Well, again, the same situation. If you had an account being created with an actual, call it legal identification, that would help curb, call it the bots and the fraudulent accounts that are out there that, again, taking the first 2 points here, a lot of the cyberbullying, a lot of the racism, a lot of those types of scams and frauds occur based on the anonymity and to being able to create a different accounts. So if you had to create on a platform, say for instance on a Twitter account or even a Gmail, or I was going to say Hotmail to say how old I am, but Gmail or Outlook or any of the free email platforms, if you had to create an account with a ID of some sort, then that would hamper the ability for scammers to create accounts to be able to create these scams, not just scams and frauds, but also phishing and other threats to both organizations and people.
So another one which is almost relating to the scams and fraud is identity theft, or you can call this impersonation. So this one basically is when people, you might notice that most of these celebrities are the ones that are always affected when it comes to this impersonation or identity theft. You might see a particular popular celebrity, and then you see lots and lots of accounts. Even on YouTube here, it happens a whole lot, where you see a popular YouTuber, and then you see lots of different fake accounts trying to scam people or trying to divert people from the platform to another platform where they can scam them or where they can mislead them to. Hopefully, with this put in place, you should be able to curb this. And there was example now, I could have should I say, about five Facebook accounts. But with this put in place, I should be able to just register for one because I've already submitted a particular ID which has been taken into consideration, or which has been taken into their system. So I can only create one account, except there's a need to create another account which can be linked to the first one which I originally created. So hopefully you wouldn't be able to create another person's account because you don't have the person's ID. So you wouldn't be able to create, or you wouldn't be able to impersonate another person, except you have that person's ID card or details which will be requested.
Actually, let me add. So if you can highlight Christine Gibson's message there, that would be a very interesting conversation here to add to this particular topic here. And Christine said, what if somebody steals your identity and creates an account and causes harm on social media? And that is a major point to discuss here, because if we're talking about using your identity or having a identity verification to create a social media, and you fall victim to a identity theft, then there is a possibility. There is a possibility that your ID or your identification can be used to create an account and then cause harm in your name. Okay, similar to what happens with your credit reports or your financial information. If somebody steals your identity and uses it to open a credit card, it's causing harm to you and the person. So here's my view on this. Okay, that is a negative or a con to using identity to verify and validate the person. Okay, that concept of just using identity to verify, or an identity card to verify an account online, can create problems, and it creates problems both ways. It can create problems for you as a person and for the company itself that allowed that to happen. You have different laws currently in the world, similar to the GDPR or the data privacy rules in Europe. You have the CCPA in the United States, and these privacy laws are being expanded, which help companies defend or give penalties to these companies. Now, that again, using the concept of identity theft to create an account to do damage on social media, that is a major issue that would have to be discussed if these identity rules on online accounts are created. It's a great point, Christine.
Yeah, thank you, Christine. Just to add, I feel perhaps what I feel to add is that in as much as you'll be required to submit an identity card, it might require, because I know for Facebook, sometimes when your account gets disabled, when you get logged out of your account for maybe flouting a particular community guideline, they require you to they activate your face cam. They tell you to put your face in front of the camera, and then they get your face, they get your ID, your face. So this way they will be able to track you, because they already have your face. Now you are the person handling it, so they know who is handling it. They have your face, they have your picture, they have those snapshots in their database or in their database. So this is one thing that you should take note of. You should take note of. It's not just going to be the ID card. Yeah, that's going to be one way, but they might go as far as using the live way to verify that you are truly the person, or they can link your images which they must have gotten from the snapshots. They can link it to your account to help solve issues as such. So looking at the cons, we have the first one, which is